Hey everyone, Karina here, coach and mentor for highly sensitive people and creator of the program Synchronize Your Life. Today's teleclass is all about getting through change and transition for high sensation seeking, highly sensitive people. In today's teleclass, I'll be sharing how times of change, turbulence, transition, and life crisis can be one of the most empowering, satisfying, and enlightening times of your life. All right, so we'll be going over the 3 areas you're likely getting stuck during times of stagnant transition periods, times of crisis, and major life changes. And I'll also be sharing step-by-step how to move through periods of change with greater ease and less suffering. So before we get started, I always like to start with a meditation because, there's always many factors that I'm dealing with before the call, and I want to make sure even I am grounded for our call today. Let us all make sure our feet are planted on the ground. And let's take a minute to close the eyes. Bring the attention inward. And let's connect with the breath. As you allow everything to settle, we'll bring our awareness to our feet. Coming back to where our feet are during times of major change is one of the most important things we can do. And so right here, right now, we allow ourselves to feel what it's like to be in presence. First, paying attention to our breath. Feeling the lungs expand and contract. Keeping in mind that even with the breath, we are not stagnant. We are not stuck. A breath is one example that the world is always moving, always in movement. Let's see how quiet we can get today, right here, right now. Let's see if you could turn into your heart space and listen into your heartbeat. See if you could feel the consistency of the beating, the pulsing. Maybe you will feel it at one point more than another. Maybe you'll feel the pulsing in your heart space. Maybe you'll feel it in your hands. Maybe you'll feel this pulsation in your feet. Either way, this is another example of how the world is always moving and is not stagnant, stuck, or remaining the same. Just like the seasons cycling through, even if you're in the tropical area where the weather is pretty consistent, even you know that there are seasons. There's the cold season, the rainy season, and the summer season. Change and transition is a part of our life. This is a truth, something to embrace and welcome. and learn how to master. So thank you all so much for being here. Acknowledging yourself that you are willing to move through change differently, to be differently, so that you don't get stuck and get into an attachment of suffering. All right, let's take a nice deep breath. One more deep breath. And last time, power of 3. Deep inhale. All right, so slowly start to open the eyes and come back into the room, bringing in the energy of presence so that you can receive exactly what you're meant to receive from today. So if you don't have one already, I highly recommend getting a piece of paper and a pen. We will be doing some exercises together. All right. So there are a few main points that I want you to take away from today. And if you only take these things away, then I am happy. Okay. I know that I'm doing my job. I'm doing my service here as someone who's committed to educating and teaching highly sensitive people how to be in this world in a way that works for them. So 3 key takeaways if you're going to take anything from today's call. First one is that as humans, we naturally crave change. Okay, so just as I shared in the meditation, it's a part of nature. It's a part of the world that we live in for things to change. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, I hate change, it sucks, it's hard. And even for me, I've gone through many changes over the last year or so. Just let's focus on the last year. There's been several for me, which I'll share more about later. But being in change is a big part of our life and why we're here as a human being. It's when we are stagnant and we're not letting ourselves move through the change. That's when we suffer. Because the truth is, everything is always changing. Our bodies are changing, our thoughts, the world around us. Change is the only constant in the world. So let us see if it's possible today, after today, we can embrace it in a more enjoyable way. So a little piece around, yes, we crave change, but we can also resist change. So something to keep in mind to let you know that you are resisting change. One thing I'll share is that you are resisting or avoiding it when you start to feel bored, when you are feeling unfulfilled in your relationships at work, when you get sick. Yes, when you get sick, in my experience, that's when you are resisting a big change. Okay, your body shuts down and you are trying to self-soothe in unhealthy ways, so more than usual. So maybe you're emotionally eating more, you're drinking more alcohol, doing more drugs, whatever it is that you go to. Maybe for you, it's escaping by going on the computer and the internet and going on Facebook and just scrolling, hoping to find some hope. Okay, or maybe it's video games, right? So everyone has their self-soothing behaviors, but it's really important to know what yours are so that if you're resisting change, you can make note of it and you can allow yourself to move through the change instead of stay in the resistance of it and stay unhappy. So the next piece that I really want you to take away from today is the truth that love lets go and fear grasps. Across the board, this is true, okay? Because what's true is that every cycle of change gives you the opportunity to release that which no longer serves you and stay true to that which is deep inside your heart. I want to say that again. Every cycle of change gives you the opportunity to release that which no longer serves you and stay true to that which is deep inside your heart. We are meant to go through cycles. We are meant to have opportunities. I call them reset buttons, so that we can let go of what's not serving us, and so that we can reconnect to that which is. And in the process, we can let ourselves know that love, always coming from a place of love lets go, because love trusts and love knows that when you let go, that which is true will always return. But fear grasps because it is scared of letting go, because it knows that it very well might be gone forever. And that very well might be true, especially if it's something that is really not working for you or not healthy for you, even though you think it's helping you. So in that sense, why is change valuable and necessary? Well, even if you're going through an amazing time period in your life, yes, change needs to happen. And I think this is where a lot of us get really hung up, is when we're going through a really great time in our life and, we're resisting anything from changing. We want it to stay that way. We want it to be like that forever. But the truth is that nothing is meant to stay the same way forever. Cycles of change help you have periods where you're checking in with yourself so that you can receive clarity on what to build upon and what to release. The image that I always like to have is building a house, where the goal is to have a strong foundation. And if you start to build a house really tall without that strong foundation, then the house is going to fall down. And so these cycles of change are times where things fall apart, basically. Everything shatters, everything falls apart. But it does so for your benefit. That is for sure, because it wants you to come back to the foundation. It wants you to build from a stronger foundation. Another analogy that I like to see in this is, if you're at the beach, so picture yourself at the beach and you have with children, they have, one of those sifters, right? So you pick up a bunch of sand and you start sifting through. All that sand that's sifting through is all the things that are not going to serve you anymore. And what it's left is a treasure. What it's left is what's real, what's true, what is based in love. Okay, so the third piece here that I really want you guys to take with you is that you can't control change, but you can control how you see it. So a lot of the times people have said to me that they feel powerless and out of control, and they really don't know what to do because so many things around them are going in a way that they don't want to. And so what I always tell them is that you can always control how you see it. That is where your power lies. So what you're telling yourself about a big transition or change, be mindful of that. Okay? Be mindful of the thoughts. Don't let them go under the radar. It's so important. And that's why things like mindfulness has been popping up, in the personal development field, because being mindful of your thoughts is what allows you to create a shift in perception if something's not working for you. The worst thing that you can do as a highly sensitive person is be unaware, is to really just let everything happen to you and be unaware of the way you're engaging with it. And I would say that unawareness is what creates stagnation and change, and will dictate how stuck and foggy you'll be, which will hinder or strengthen your ability to listen to your internal guidance system. Your internal guidance system is your inner voice, by the way, which I will talk about a little bit more later. But the internal voice is what I am here to help you strengthen. I'm here to help you be led from within towards your next best steps. I'm not the person to tell you what your next best steps are. If that was my job, I would be working around the clock. Each of us need to take care of listening to the inner voice, because only you know your story. Only you know your life. Only you know what is going to be best for you. So learning how to go within, listen to that inner voice, trust it, and follow the guidance that it's giving you, that is what is most going to serve you here. All right, let's take a moment to take a nice deep breath. So at different points, I'll let us integrate. integrate what we've heard. And just keep in mind that you don't have to necessarily rigorously take notes. I would write down keywords, but just also know that because you're a highly sensitive person and your nervous system is tuned on a little bit more, it's likely that you're going to pick up on a lot more than you think. Maybe you won't pick up on everything mentally, but you will feel the emotion and the words, and you will receive the information through feeling, and you will receive it in different ways. So that's why I have a webinar here, so you can see what I'm seeing. You can look at certain keywords, and you can remember those keywords, remember key phrases that will help you and support you even after this call. Okay, so that is how I recommend you are being in this call today. All right, so the next area that we're going to look at are the 3 areas you're likely getting stuck during times of stagnant transition, times of crisis, and major life changes. All right, so we've got 3 here. You have comparison, judgment, and doubt. Okay, but before we go into talking about these a bit more, I want to hear from a few people. I want to hear what is one big challenge that I asked you to prepare for today's call. If you didn't prepare, just think about it right now. But what is one big challenge that you're facing right now? Okay, what is one major life change or transition you're going through? So just write that down right now. And in a minute, I will have a few people, if you want to participate, you can take yourself off of mute and you can just chime in. Okay, so as you get ready for that and get ready to share, I just also want to share with you that this year has been probably one of the toughest years for me. I feel like there's been so much going on in regards to my whole world's getting shaken up in so many different ways. So this time last year, I was living in San Diego with my fiance, who's now my husband, and we're originally from New York, from Long Island, New York, and so we've been traveling, we've been living in different places, and San Diego felt like home. It felt safe there. I felt I could be myself there and not have to put on masks, and this is something I've been working on for many years now, but it just felt way more natural there. And so there's a big part of me that wanted to take that with me no matter where I went. So that was a goal of mine. And I'm glad that I found that there, and I'm glad I found the support system that I found there. But this time last year, I was engaged, and we were having our wedding in New York, so we wanted to make it a little bit easier for us to plan our wedding. So in last October, my husband said to me, Karina, I think we should move back to New York. And I'll just share with you briefly that living in New York in the past, when I was a kid, was hard for me. New York tends to be a little bit tougher, a little bit rough around the edges, and a little bit more challenging, at least for me, with all the stimulation and the movement that's constantly happening. This was also a time where growing up, I was challenged in my ugly duckling years, I call it, and constantly comparing myself to others, judging, and doubting, the 3 areas of getting stuck. And so I so much feared the feelings of not being enough, not being able to find people that I connect with, and really just being not happy there in New York. But I knew it was where my family was. I knew it's where I wanted to be. So we bravely, I did a ton of journaling on it. I worked with my life coach on this, and we made the decision consciously that we were going to take the trip across the country, move back to New York. And it started out great because I was in a really great mindset. I felt really hopeful and positive. I felt like, this is great. It's new. It's like, we're going to create something new from this. So a couple months later, end of February, my dad suddenly passed away from a heart attack. And this, obviously brought up much, what do you want to call it? Everything, let's just say shit to hit the fan. Okay. Mind my language. Sorry if you're not a cursor, but everything came, my foundation was shaken That's for sure. My family system was just in shock, a bit confused, and kind of going through experiencing a huge loss like this, because we haven't experienced a big family loss ever. I mean, this was the biggest loss I've had in my life. So this was very new to me. What was it going to be like to not have my father around? And more so, what was going to be like for my mom not to have a companion to go travel with and to share her days with on a moment to moment basis. So there was a lot that my family members had to move through. A lot of processing that we had to do, a lot of talking we had to do, a lot of, and then moving through the grieving process. And so in the process of that, I'm still planning my wedding. This is something that I kind of resisted getting married. I didn't want to kind of wanted to like not be in the box of life and like follow the status quo. So I kind of resisted getting married for many years. But finally I decided that I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to get married the way I wanted to get married, for reasons for me and not for anyone else. So getting ready for a wedding, we get married. And then, getting married, I've been with my husband now for about 9 years. So it didn't seem like there was going to be that much changing, but let's just say that, there's going to be things changing, and maybe they haven't really come up yet, in regards to, maybe doing our taxes together, or, where we're going to live long term, and, all these next steps around having a family and, start having kids. These are all going to be, new changes that I'm going to be going through. And so as I've been through this year, I would say I've had 3 major life changes come into my life. And probably the only way to get through it is to jokingly say that that I've become a master of getting through major life changes, and what inspired me to create this teleclass for all of you today, because I know that it is very challenging for many of us. Thankfully, I do have a strong foundation where I know what it takes to look at my emotions, to feel them, to communicate them. I have support systems in place. And so there are key components that I pray for each of you to cultivate in your life as well. All right. Well, those were the big changes that I've been facing in my life. And I would say I've kind of been coming out of this dark period, if you will, where I feel a lot stronger, and I'm again ready to share with the world. I do want to hear from maybe 3 of you to share just one life change that you're going through, or maybe, what your experience with transition is right now. Okay. And maybe just 1 or 2 sentences on what that is. All right. So who would like to share first? You can take yourself off of mute and share this one thing. Chime in whenever you want.
Hi, I can share something.
Hello.
My name is Jasmine. Hey, Karina.
Hi, Jasmine. How are you?
Hey, everyone. Good, thank you. So I recently moved from Kenya to London in the UK after having lived there for 3.5 years. And I've been in the UK for, I think, about 2 weeks now. So it's thrown up quite a lot of confusion and anxiety. I've been looking to buy a place and just found out that I actually lost it because we didn't act quickly enough. And so my major challenge there was that I felt intuitively that this was the right apartment for us. But some of my fears were holding me back. And I'm kind of kicking myself now because I didn't really kind of push forward and just stay true to what was in my core. And that is really part of some of the anxiety that I've been feeling over moving, and not really being able to identify my true voice as much as I had been able to in the past.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Thank you for sharing that, Jasmine. So as you can see from the areas of getting stuck, it sounds like doubt was really present for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so that kind of made you hesitate and then, lose the opportunity for this. And so not be able to listen to that inner voice and move forward in a timely fashion has kind of created that stagnation now in where you're going to live next.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Who's next?
I'm here. I just made it back.
Hello. Welcome. What is your name?
Hello. My name's Timothy.
Hi, Timothy.
How are you?
I'm well. Thank you. How are you?
I am fantastic. I'm glad I was able to make it back here.
All right. So what is one big challenge you're facing right now, or a major life change or transition you're going through?
Right now, I am in the middle of trying to rediscover who I am. I believe I've lost sight of myself and what I'm trying to accomplish. And I guess I just feel lost and like nobody understands me. And I also have a lot of medical issues from the military and stuff that I'm dealing with, which is just extra stress on top of the problems already going on this planet. And I'm not accomplishing or getting the things done that I would like to.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So right now you're in a transition period with your health.
Yes.
And really trying to get clear for you on what is going to be your next best step in regards to, what you're here to do, what life is going to look like.
I've been gaining a lot of good friends that I haven't had in my life. I haven't had any friends to count on or do anything with or be able to talk to, and that's changing as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. So kind of managing the new relationships. I know those always can be a little bit challenging, especially in the beginning, because you're not sure how to be with them fully, and there's that getting to know process as well.
And I'm on a shamanic journey. I practice energy healing, and I've had 2 near-death experiences which have altered my reality, and it's different than everybody else's, and I accept it, and I love who I am and what I can do and the positive changes that I can bring. I guess I'm just not accomplishing them as much as I would like, which goes back to self-discipline. I need to change those things and work on the things that I want to see. Change my agreements with myself, so to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great. So great awareness. There's a lot going on with you here right now. So thank you so much for sharing this.
Thank you.
And for being here right now. Doing something about it.
Woo. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that's all the shares we're going to do right now. We will have another time to share in a few minutes, but if everyone could take themselves off of back onto mute, I would so appreciate that. All right. So let's talk about this a little bit more. So the 3 areas you're likely getting stuck. Okay. So the first one here is comparison. And in the work that I do, I often talk about highly sensitive shortcomings. And the shortcomings are really areas of, our shadows, our shadow side, the ego, the fears, the things that kind of hold us back. And my goal is to always find a way to help people shift them into their strengths. Okay, so the one shortcoming we're going to talk right now is comparison. And what's going on here is, you're trying to figure out what will be right for you. But then you feel bad for yourself instead because you aren't maybe further along on your path where you think you should be, or you just haven't figured it out yet. With comparison, there's a lot of confusion about what your next steps are because you are comparing yourself to others. Maybe you're looking around you and seeing what other people are doing and you're thinking, oh, I should be there, or I should be doing that. And maybe other people inspire you, but at the same time, you're not really sure how to get there. So getting stuck in comparison slows you down. And then it causes things like scattered thinking, racing thoughts, jumping from one thing to the next, hoping that you'll make progress or get ahead. Okay, but really there's not any groundedness. And, my question is always, are you listening to that inner voice to guide you? So comparison, comparing yourself to others, and then beating up on yourself when you're not further along. Second one here, the second quote unquote shortcoming that to be aware of is judgment. So judgment often takes the form of feeling depressed and believing that you're different. Okay, I recently was listening to something and it shared how depression is a belief that you are different and you are separate. And that no one understands you or supports you. Okay, so it's like basically you're isolating yourself. You're saying others are different, I'm different. So you're judging yourself compared to them. And then you're telling yourself that no one's understanding what you're experiencing, even though you don't necessarily know that as a truth, because you're probably not sharing your experience with other people. So when you're stuck in judgment and depression, it's often that you have a belief that things are not going to change. Okay, so you probably have a fear that it'll always be this way. And, you ask yourself, what if you'd never figure it out? I know I've asked myself that question before. And recently during this 8-month period of this big time of transition and change for me, I wondered, is this going to change? Is this ever going to change? Am I ever going to get out of this? And when you're in it, you feel like you're never going to get out of it. So judgment is here because basically you're judging yourself. You're judging you and your situation as bad. You're judging this transition period as bad and seeing yourself as a victim to the life that, the hand that you were given, and you're feeling powerless, feeling like you have no control over the life experience that you want and how to get there. Okay, so we have judgment. The last one here, in areas that you're likely getting stuck, the last shortcoming is doubt. So doubt can look like worry. It could look like anxiety, excessively thinking about how things can go wrong and why things are not right. And the way I like to say this is that one of our strengths as a highly sensitive person is being visionary. So a lot of us tend to have the strength of being a visionary. We know what the world needs. We know what we need, but we don't always know how to get there. And so a lot of the times, if you're in doubt, it is likely that you're using your visionary strength to imagine all the negative outcomes, right? You're using your imagination to think up of all the ways that it could go wrong. When really, you could very well use your visionary strength to conjure up all these possibilities on how it could go right. Okay, but this is a big block in the times of transition and change, is that you're doubting. You're doubting, and your energy is in the future, worrying and being highly concerned with how things are going to turn out, trying to control and trying to manipulate, even though those external things you don't have control over. Okay, so maybe we'll just have one person share how are these 3 roadblocks showing up in your life? So maybe just one person share who didn't share yet, based on what your major transition rate is right now. Which one of these 3 are you experiencing right now? And you can take yourself off mute and jump in whenever you're ready. Take a nice deep breath. Just know that you're in a safe place. We're not here to compare, to judge, or to doubt. We're here to share. And by sharing, you're moving your voice. You're moving the energy in your throat, and you're ready, allowing yourself to experience differently. Sharing is probably one of the most powerful things you can do, which is why I integrate sharing into my calls. So, who would like to share? What is one of these three things? How are they? What is strongest for you right now? How are they impacting you in your life? Just holding space here. I know what it's like to be on your side of it. I've been to many teleclasses before where I didn't really know if I was going to say the right thing or if my thoughts were going to be coherent. We'll just surrender that over right now.
Hi, Karina. It's Erin.
Hi, Erin. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm kind of nervous. I'll say that. So I would say that I've been experiencing a lot of doubt. I just had my third baby and I'm returning to work. And I like to compensate for my fear of change by like adding a lot of it at once because I want to feel like I like it. So I like to put a whole lot on my plate and then I like to worry about it a lot. So I'm going to be going back to work, and I'm also going to be starting a new position at work because I had said that I would be able to do that when I came back. I'm going to be like taking in a lot of responsibility on top of the responsibility that I already feel. So now I'm like worrying and doubtful that I'll be able to do it all at once. It's going to be a lot different than when I left, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does make sense. Really well done for acknowledging this and shining a light on it. So you're starting work again. You just had your third child. Congratulations, Miss Mama.
Yeah.
And going back to work. And this is going to be a transition for you, for sure. And getting back into the workflow and, managing outside of work and in work and really showing up as Erin in both of those places. Okay, so great. So acknowledging, shining light on the doubt that has probably been holding you back and feeling grounded and confident in yourself. Okay, thank you so much. All right. So let's all take a nice deep breath. Okay, so the next part of this call, I'm going to talk about, and I promise to share with all of you step by step how to get through the change and transition with more ease and less suffering so that you can handle anything life throws at you. Okay? Because I believe we are capable. We are capable to handle anything. I promise you. So these have been my step-by-steps that have really helped me move through these change and transition processes so that I can move through them with greater ease. So step by step, first thing that we want to be mindful of, and really what I'm sharing with you all are ways of being in the world. Okay, ways of being, like concepts, bigger concepts, because I found that these concepts are containers, I call them, and I'm not going to tell you like you have to do this and you have to do that. If you follow my step by step, you're gonna get there. What really this is I'm providing a container for you so to process in a safe way. So that's what this step by step is. Okay, so the first part of the step, part of the container, building that container, is a commitment. Okay, and that commitment is to expanding your awareness. With these three steps, with these three components that are going to create this container, I'm sharing this with you for people who, these are really for people who want to learn how to be in your flow state and feel safe to move forward. Okay, I'm sharing these with you so that you can know what it's like to feel peace and presence even with the chaos around you, to really connect with clarity and how to listen to your inner voice, and to feel connected to that inner guidance system consistently. Okay, so first one we have here is how to move through, and we're going to committing to expanding your awareness. So without this commitment, you will continue to get stuck in believing limiting beliefs are real. when you commit to staying committed, to expanding your awareness, you'll never get stuck in a box of limitation, but rather always find a way through and out. All right. Sorry about that. I have a tickle in my throat. Around committing to expanding your awareness, the container that we're talking about are the container of your beliefs, the container of how you see the world and how you will choose to function in it. So, for example, one belief is that if you believe you will never get out of this rut or stay stuck in where you're in, then that is what your experience will be until you're willing to expand your awareness, see things differently, and create a shift. So we want to welcome in these light bulb moments, or miracles as I call them, where we are letting ourselves break down the old way of seeing the world, seeing yourself, and committing to expand your awareness so that you can see things differently and therefore show up differently. I'm just going to take a minute to calm my body down because I can feel my throat tensing up. So let us just take a minute to close our eyes. So what I love about what's happening right now is that my body's telling me something. My body's telling me that I'm tensing up in some way and that I need to relax. And so I need to come back to this presence. So I'm going to use this as a learning example for when we're in a period of transition, to come back to where you are, come back to your feet, and reconnect it. Instead of just trying to push through it, because I know a lot of us do that, right? If I tried to continue to just push through it instead of giving myself a minute to relax my throat, to calm my body again, then that wouldn't serve you, right? I'm here to teach you and show you a new way. So I always believe that everything that comes into my calls is here for a reason. I'm not having this throat thing right now as a way, it's not a mistake. Everything is here. So we're going to just bring that in here and remind you not to push through it, but to just be present with it, to let yourself feel it, to come back to it. Okay. But the only reason why I was able to check in with myself is because I have the awareness to do so. So step one is committing to expanding your awareness, being mindful that you need to take a step back, you need to come back to the now, and you need to settle yourself. Glad I'm able to share that with you. So the next piece of this process is assessing what's really going on right now. Okay, and there's some questions that I'm going to invite you to write down and answer so that you can really start to see what it's like to move through it. Okay, so the first question I want you to write down is what in your life right now isn't working well. Okay, so what isn't working? What isn't working? Leave some space. We're going to come back to let you answer that. The second question is, what would you like to change about what isn't working? Leave some space. Third question is, what is working? And the last question, something that we often forget, what would you like to do more of that is working? So we have the first question, what isn't working? What would you like to change about that? What is working? And what would you like to do more of that is working? This is probably one of the most important things that you can do during your times of transition, to consistently take a step back and assess What is really going on right now? A lot of times we get stuck in our head and we think that there's a million gazillion problems that we're having, but really it's just 2 or 3 big ones. And so by acknowledging what these are in our first question, and then answering what you'd like to change about that, you're taking a proactive approach. You're giving yourself an opportunity to do things differently. And that's where a lot of people get hung up. They just stay stuck in the pattern of wallowing in what's not working, instead of asking themselves, okay, now what can I do differently instead? And then, of course, we have to acknowledge that there's always something working. Something is always going right. But a lot of times we like to see what the missing piece is and think that that's everything, when really that's just a sliver. So we really want to acknowledge all the things that are working so that we can reconnect to that flow, the flow that's already happening in the background as we spend all of our energy worrying about what isn't working. Okay, so that then you can get even more clear on what's working, and you can then spend your energy more on what is working and building on that. The third part of creating this container, step-by-step, is to get through change, consciously practice moving through the scale of emotions. Okay, so there's a man named David Hawkins, and he's created something called the scale of emotions, or the scale of consciousness, and I found this to be very helpful. He has a book called Power versus Force. So let us see what that scale is. Okay, so here's the scale. So as you can see on the left side at the bottom, there is shame, and then guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride, courage, neutrality, willingness, acceptance, reason, love, joy, peace, and enlightenment. So the truth is that a lot of the times we want to go from fear to acceptance, or guilt to joy or love. But I'll tell you right now, even if you try to tell yourself 100 times, I am joy, but you're still feeling a lot of guilt, it's going to be very hard to actually embody the joy. So what you can do instead is to allow yourself to feel each emotion. And then every time you let yourself go through that emotion, you get knocked up into the next one. So during this transition period for me, the last 8 months or so, I started out with for a while I was experiencing apathy. Apathy is kind of like you're not really feeling anything, like you don't care. Not caring, right? Who cares? What's the point? That type of thing. And so when my father passed away, like I was telling myself certain things and that were very apathetic, and I could see were not very healthy for me. And what a friend helped me realize is that I wasn't letting myself experience the grief. I wasn't letting myself experience the loss of what I've gone through. Right. So it wasn't just the loss of my dad, but it was the loss of my life in San Diego. It was the loss of maybe a fear of letting go of what I had created before I had moved to New York. Okay. And so when I let myself experience that grief and that loss and feel that sadness, I was then able to move up into fear. And you might be thinking, why would you want to move into fear? Well, that's the next step. And by then letting yourself feel the fear, then you can move into desire. Because what fear is all the things you don't want. Fear is all those things from the future that you're scared of, and you're scared of manifesting and being created. So then you let yourself feel those. And in doing that, once you get clear on what you don't want, you're able to move up into desire so that you can get clear on what you do want. But then a lot of times that's, you need to do this. You need to get clear on what you want. You need to get clear on what you desire. And then you'll go through a period of anger and frustration because that's not here yet. And then at some point, as you let yourself consciously feel the anger, you'll start to feel pride. Again. coming back to what I'm feeling. I'm not letting myself be embarrassed. And I know as highly sensitive people, we also often feel uncomfortable if someone's suffering or they're going through something. And I know a lot of you probably know what it's like to have a tickle in your throat. And yet, I'm being the most vulnerable example of what it's like to let myself just be and feel and go through the process. And as much as this is not, of course, the way I would want to plan it, I want this call to be perfect and everything to go well. But the truth is that things always don't go well. I knew that I had this throat thing the last couple days. I could have canceled the call, but I decided not to. I really wanted to show up today and to really just be in a vulnerable space because I don't want to portray the illusion of perfectionism. That's not why I'm here. So if this is serving you, I'm so glad. If this is something that's making you uncomfortable, then, that is fine too. That's where your process is right now. So, as I was saying, with the scale of emotions, letting ourselves feel each of those and not judging every step of the way. Not letting yourself go into shame or guilt or apathy unconsciously, but rather do so with presence. All right. So I'll take a nice deep breath. Being able to be at a point right now where I am sharing a very imperfect teleclass with each of you, but be okay with it, actually shows me and is proof to me that I've done a lot of work. And in the past, I probably might have wanted to cancel the call earlier or end it earlier, but at this point, I know that this is very important for all of us. So the truth is that I haven't been going through this process on my own. And there's a lot that I've been learning. So oftentimes moving through the pain of the emotions are the hardest. So giving yourself permission to feel your feelings and move through the process can be challenging on your own. My experience, thankfully I haven't had to do this on my own. And so it's been my experience and my recommendation that this process is best done in a safe environment. One, with guidance and support, being surrounded by others who are experiencing something similar, and allowing you to practice bravely, showing up authentically just as you are, not have to hide or be fearful of others judging you, so that you can be brave and face any leg of the journey that you're on, okay? So no matter where you are. So for those of you who are like me, who are a social learner, who get so much out of sharing your experience and receiving feedback, observing others as they go through their process, and being around others, sharing the space and connecting deeply. If that's you, I have a special offer for you today. So for today's call, I've opened up 5 spots to have a clarity session with me. Okay, this doesn't come around often, but I do have some spots in my calendar. Clarity session is where you'll have the opportunity to share your challenges with me, another highly sensitive person who's experienced what you're experiencing in some way and has moved through it. So this session is a place to see where there are holes in your life, where you're dissatisfied and unfulfilled, so that you can fill those holes and build a stronger foundation, one that supports you and will allow you to handle anything that life throws at you unexpectedly. The clarity session for you is if you believe what I believe. If you have seen and experienced what it's like to have forgotten what it's like to listen to your inner voice. Maybe you've spent the majority of your life trying to keep up with the status quo, fit into society, let others tell you what to do, who to be, and where to go. And maybe you've had to learn how to survive by adapting to your environment. And yet, none of this ever felt like it seemed to work for you. In the process of working so hard to be someone or something you're not, it's only left you feeling powerless, confused, and lost on your journey. Feeling disconnected from your core values and feeling like a victim to the cards you've been dealt right now. The clarity session is for you if you believe that we each need to be the change we wish to see. You understand on some level that if you want the world to be different, you need to stop pointing the finger and start making inner changes from within first. You understand that changes need to happen from the inside out, not the outside in. This clarity session is also for you if you believe, like me, that living authentically cultivates deep connection, and connection is the one human need we are deprived of. So to me, living authentically means that I'm showing up in my relationships. I'm showing up in my relationships because I know that relationships are a vehicle for growth. We are not meant to live on islands. We are meant to live amongst one another. So this clarity session is for you if you understand at some level that the people and connections you consciously or unconsciously choose to have in your life, they're here for a purpose of giving you valuable information about who you are, what you need to look at and shift within yourself, and who challenges you to be braver, more open, more compassionate, and experience deeper self-acceptance from within. So if you'd like to be a part of a movement of highly sensitive people who are here to live for these truths, email me at Karina@synchronizewithin.com. I have 5 spots available for a clarity session to help you get clarity on your journey about what you need most in order to move forward in life in a way that works for you. This is an opportunity to do things differently. Be different, but this time, be you. The full, authentic, real you, who at the core never has to work so hard to wear a mask that doesn't fit again. The first 5 people to send me their application for the clarity session. So just reach out to me. I'll send you an application. You'll receive the opportunity to have a conversation with me about being a part of this community who believes in being the change you wish to see, believes in committing to living authentically in order to cultivate deep connection, and is passionate about learning how relationships are a vehicle for growth. To me, that is what it means to live a synchronized life. And I'd be honored to be your guide as you strengthen your inner voice and discover what is true for you. So once more, I'll share my email here. So email Karina@synchronizewithin.com and let me know that you'd like to have a conversation, that you share similar core values and beliefs as me, and you'd like to really step into this more. Living authentically, moving through your emotions consciously, committing to expanding your awareness, and learning about how relationships are a vehicle for growth, because deep connection is something you truly crave and desire. Yep, so I think that's all I have to share for today. I really so appreciate all of you for being here, for sharing your energy, for showing up. Thank you for being patient and being present with me, allowing me to share authentically and vulnerably. And I'm glad to be back out sharing with the world again. It's really nice to be able to connect and be in a space with my people again.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. You're awesome. You were absolutely fantastic.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
And thank you for rejuvenating me today, and you've given me the energy that I need to go accomplish what I'm supposed to today. Thank you.
Awesome.
Great.
Great.
I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Really, really great to have you here.
And I look forward to talking to you again. Visionary. I have wonderful ideas, and I think I'm looking for the network that needs to hear them right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're all here for a reason, and I'm hoping that we get to talk.
Awesome.
Change
all right.
the world into a better place.
Yes, sir.
All right.
That's what I'm all about. So send me an email, and I'll send you an application form.
Okay.
All right.
All right, I'll do that. Thank you very much.
You're so welcome. Thank you all again. I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.